If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Mercado Airwaves Sports Experience is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves.
Thank you for keeping it tuned in with us, friends. Our interview today is with the wonderful, the absolute sweetest, most badass person we've had on the show. Anna Holton joins us today. She talks about making her Bellator MMA debut, what drove her to boxing, how she takes it all in, and so much more. In case you don't know about Anna, she is a former WBO and former IBA Super Bantamweight World Champion in boxing, the first to hold each of those titles. She's also the former San Francisco Gold Gloves champion, a National Gold Gloves bronze medalist, a silver medalist at the USA Boxing Nationals. She finished her amateur career in 2007, ranked as the #2 amateur boxer in the nation. She's been coached by guys like Freddie Roach. She's just the ultimate badass, and she took a few minutes to join us on Mercado Airwaves to talk about all that and her Bellator MMA debut. Hope you guys enjoy. Here's Anna. Hi, Anna. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great, Mike. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for taking some time for us. I know you have a crazy day ahead of you, so I won't keep you. Let's get started with how are you feeling? Are you excited about making this Bellator debut?
Oh, absolutely. It's a long time coming. It's something that I've been waiting for the past couple of years, and and I'm happy to be fighting for Bellator. I'll tell you that.
Mercado Airwaves Sports Experience is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333.
So for anybody who doesn't know, Anna's one of the biggest badasses in the boxing world. WBO, IBA, Super Bantamweight champion. You won San Francisco Gold Glove. You've done it all. I mean, people could look you up. They could watch the highlights of you murking people. But tell me, what before we get to the MMA world, what got you started in boxing?
It's okay. So my current coach's name is Angelo Reyes, and I got to meet him through our mutual karate school. So as I was aspiring to be a black belt, I ended up being one of the instructors there, and that school is very, 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 very traditional. Angelo, he was one of the he was the assistant chief at the time, and he wanted to introduce something a little bit more modern, and he felt like boxing was a great parallel to martial arts. So in order for me to teach it, I had to learn it, and through that, we organically just started competing just for the fun of it, and what turned out to be something fun became a career. I went through the amateur ranks. It's just kind of weird how combat sports or just life just kind of takes you into places that you don't even imagine, and then things just start happening. So it was pretty insane. Like, I never once have I ever dreamt of waking up and wanting to step into the ring and just fight for a world title and have Freddie Roach in my corner. It's just surreal. But
That's
yeah,
pretty
long
cool.
Story short, there it is.
Yeah, no, and for a lot of people, obviously a lot of boxing fans, you've gone through the rankings of kicking people's butts, and then you've been able to work with some of the best coaches that even the novice is able to recognize. So for somebody who's such a great athlete on that pedestal, how is it taking, as the years have gone on, to take advice from different ways? You've done different combat martial arts, and how has it been to evolve your game to kind of incorporate everything?
Oh man, that's such a great question. It's something I had to figure out because my background is martial arts. I'm so used to learning from the teacher, learning from the sensei, and just following directions. And I felt like I was able to develop my discipline aspect of it. But I carried that onto boxing, and it was successful. Obviously because I was able to win a world title in less than 2 years. But there were moments where I had to learn that there's only so much I could take from my coach, whether it was a Freddie Roach or any of the other coaches that I've dealt with, and I have to know me. So with that said, as a fighter, you have to be accountable. You can't just always rely on your team to go out there and fight for you. You have to put in the work yourself, and you have to figure a lot of things out on your own. Classic example is you have someone like Mike Tyson who had Customato, phenomenal, brain in the boxing world, and Mike Tyson was able to be the youngest world champion title holder. Versus you have someone like Muhammad Ali with Angelo Dundee. A lot of people would question, well, Angelo didn't really teach Muhammad Ali anything, but Angelo Dundee was a great manager. He knew exactly what to say to Muhammad Ali because Muhammad Ali already knew how to fight. Right. So it depends on the individual, and I feel like for me, like I had to figure that out, during the process of me venturing on to martial arts, to boxing, to back to MMA. Because it's amazing how a lot of people are willing to share their information with you, and I appreciate everyone always putting out there because everyone's always coming from a good place. But at the same time, too, I'll take a note from my good friend Paulie Malignaggi. He would say, as a fighter, you got to know exactly who you are and exactly who you're not. So, it's an evolution and it's a battle that I feel like every fighter needs to process and go through on a daily basis. And you always have to know exactly who you are.
I think that's so fascinating. I love how a student of the sports you are, and I really want to get your thoughts on this. You've been you're in the middle of this movement of women and girls just absolutely kicking ass in the sports world and really finally getting their just dues. You've in the beginning, maybe in 2007, you kind of saw the beginning of it. Let me ask you, from that start to where we are in 2017, have you seen not just combat sports for women, but just how the tidal wave has finally been able to really showcase women in all different types of sports, including combat sports?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm getting goosebumps. I mean, absolutely. As a whole, socially, globally, I think women are definitely getting a lot more opportunities. The perception of women, the whole adage is saying, go back to the kitchen or go to the kitchen. I think a lot of that is, it's still out there, but it's slowly, disappearing, and it's actually nice to see. Obviously we still have a long ways to go. I think the only professional sport that's out there that pays both men and women equally is tennis. You win the Wimbledon, both men and women get $7 million. Wow. And so, with that said, despite all the exposure and the publicity and the perception being changed for women, we still have a long ways to go. But it's what we do on a daily basis. And when I say we, I'm talking about women and everyone around the world, just also accepting that process. So it's nice to actually see the changes, because I'll tell you what, even though I started to see a little bit of a change back in 2007, they still didn't invite women to the Olympics. That's why I didn't try an Olympic run in 2008. Wow. But the very next Olympics, you have someone like Carissa Shields who's able to capture 2 Olympic golds, and it's crazy how like 1 year or 2 years or a matter of 3 years can differentiate opportunities for women, and it can also affect the way that a person can develop. So it's but yeah, I'm obviously pretty happy. I'm pretty pumped up about the changes that has been happening. Right now I have a contract with Bellator that allows me to box and do MMA at the same time, which is pretty much unheard of. Yeah, usually when you go fight for an organization in MMA, you have to be exclusively committed to that organization. And I'm not saying that I'm not exclusively committed to Bellator, because I love fighting for the Bellator banner. Right. It's just that they also allow me to grow as a fighter, which is a great relationship, I think.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Mercado Airwaves Sports Experience is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves.
And I think for any young athlete, no matter the sport, who's listening, boy or girl, what you just heard right there from a champion, where you got to continue to grow, you got to continue to learn, you got to continue to listen. It's a great lesson, and it all culminates on Friday, October 20th, when you step into the Bellator cage. And let me ask you: you fought for world titles, you've made the walk countless times. Do you still get excited? Do you still get nervous when it's showtime?
That's a great question, because it's always different for me, right? It's interesting because I always have to constantly accept what it is, because like everything that I'm doing right now, like, I'm doing like a big media run. I'm not gonna lie, this is a lot of work. But I'm so happy and I'm so thankful to have such an awesome team that just kept me in the gym and just kept me honest every day. So while I'm spending a lot of effort, talking to people, talking to yourself, to people like yourself, Mike, and just doing this whole media scrum, I feel great.
That's awesome.
But in terms of like having the nerves, I don't know. It almost becomes a lifestyle. It's something that you expect. I'd say if you're new to it, it's something that you mentally and emotionally and physiologically, your whole body is going to change. Versus if you're used to this type of environment, you just kind of adapt to it. It's almost like fighting. So I'd say if you were to ask me that question just even a year ago, I would probably have a different answer. But for right now, I'm just taking it 1 second at a time. I'm not fighting right now, so I don't have my fight goggles on right now. But don't get me wrong, if someone were to break into my door right now with a knife, believe me, I'm going to be fighting back.
It's going down.
But yeah.
That's
so I'd say.
No, Anna, let me just say, I know you got a busy day ahead of you. You've given us so much of your time already, and let me just say you were a joy. We could do this for another 20 minutes. Before we let you go, I want to make sure if you have anything to plug, please do that before we let you go. And can you just give the fans who are going to finally tune in and see you showcase, what can they expect?
Check it out. Bellator 185 will be featured this Friday, October 20th. You can watch it on Spike TV. Starts at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time on fight number 2.
Nice.
And it's going to be a great card. Big shout out for those who want to get a little bit more of a better idea of what my team's composed of. Big shout out to Brett Raymer. And if that name sounds familiar to you, then you probably watched the show Tanked on Animal Planet. He's actually my manager, alongside with Russell Collins from Gold Spike Legal, and they've been able to compose and put a whole bunch of things together. Check out my banner. My fight just got announced about 2 weeks ago, and I have my banner just filled with a lot of people supporting what I want to do. And so big shout out to that. Thank you so much for all the support. And tune in October 20th, Spike TV, and expect to see some fireworks. I'm really excited. Anyone who's watched my last 4 MMA fights, I think you'll be proud and you'll be happy. You'll be excited to see something that's completely different. I really spent the time. I had to start from scratch. I had to, let go of my ego and just understand that MMA is a completely different sport from boxing and have a lot out there to prove. They're going to have a title fight for the flyweight division later on this year. And, there's going to be a lot of movement, a lot of direction, and it's happening in Bellator. So be on the lookout for that.
Anna, you're an absolute pleasure. Good luck, good health. You have a home here in Mercado Airwaves. Next time you and the team in Chicago, pizza on us. Good luck, and go kick some ass, okay?
I'll take you up on that offer, but thank you so much for your time, Mike.
Thank you. Good health, Anna. Thank you. A huge, huge thank you to Anna Holton. You can support her, like she said, checking out her banner, checking out her fight this Friday against Lisa Blaine in her Bellator MMA debut. She was absolutely wonderful for the time. She's one of my favorite guests that we've had, so please support her. We wish her all the best luck, and again, thank you to her, thank you to Bellator MMA, and thank you to the fine people of New York for making this happen. Thank you to each and every one of you for sticking around for this interview, but we still have a lot to get to here on Mercado Airwaves.
If you would like to support Mercado Airwaves, visit us at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Find us on iTunes at Mercado Airwaves. Keep up to date with the show on Facebook at Mercado Airwaves. Follow Mike on Twitter at mmercado2333 and on Instagram, Mike Mercado2333. Mercado Airwaves Sports Experience is brought to you by supporters at patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves.